I just fought all that way to take the skin off the onion.
Yeah, exactly.
And I jumped on that with y'all, and like by 1:30, 2 in the morning, I'm like, let's go again. Y'all are like, no, man, we're tired.
We're done.
And the whole time you watch these cinematics, you're realizing, fuck, I'm 2 steps behind.
Yeah, I think that was it. Like,
I feel like he only, I feel like he only listens when he fucking wants to. I feel like he has become self-aware, and he's like, yeah, I'm coming. Takes like 2 or 3 commands for him to be like, all right.
Like, Craig, get in here. No.
Put the drink down, Craig.
No.
We need you in here with your recorder.
Need more.
Son of a bitch, Craig. Okay, what's up, everybody? This is episode 80 of the Retro Rents.
The big 80.
Yeah, we're 20 away from the century mark. We're going to have to think of something special for that one.
Something for the 100, yeah.
Yeah, like a super guest or something like that, or... I don't know. We'll have to really think about that one, though. We'll have to do like a giveaway or something. God knows I have enough games. Yes, it is episode 80 of the Retro Reds, and I am Al.
I'm Nick.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, man.
It's been a good week, 2 weeks, I should say.
Yeah.
We're actually on schedule.
It felt like it flew by.
Mm-hmm. No, it really did. I know I've got the new job speed going, where it's like every day is going by real quick now.
Nice.
Yeah. Lots of cool stuff, fun stuff, challenges. Loving it. Like, it's just, I'm really like enjoying, being back in a good work grind under a great leader. It's great. It's great stuff.
Always a positive thing, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's after what was a very long, 8 months or so. It's very nice to be back to just a good, productive, functional working environment. I love it. Love it. Mm-hmm. What's up with you, dude?
Not much. Still playing Hades.
Oh.
I'm still having a blast with that. I'm getting into some good roles. Finally got to the end / beat it.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you stated, I think last time, like it is only the beginning.
I came and hung out at one of your Hades fights.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were there. You're like, it's time for my daily run.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's probably one of the most brilliant things about that game is the second you watch somebody else play it, you're like, son of a bitch. Now I gotta go play it.
Yeah, and funny enough, it's like I beat the game, so it's like, okay, now, because I've also been avoiding like looking at any kind of like playthroughs, tips, yeah. It's like now that I beat, it's like, okay, now I will watch some of that, and it's so eye opening. It's like, oh no, now I gotta do that.
Yeah, and it's like you start to see the utter perfection of game design that is.
Oh yeah,
because again, for a lot of people, right there was the finish line, and they're super happy with that, and that's great. And they can put it down and be like, yeah, I did that. But then you're like, oh my god, I just fought all that way to take the skin off the onion.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still enthralled by it. Like now, I think I've finally reached the point. I don't know how many hours I have. I know there's a way to look it up via the Xbox store. But it's like I'm finally getting to the point where it's like I'm starting to get a few people doing repeat dialogues, but still not like everyone. And there's still like story to uncover. So I haven't that's the part that, I didn't watch any of that. It was more like builds and better ways of playing, so to speak, like little insights. Because sometimes you're also going through it and it's like you're not really comboing things together. But now, I've watched a few videos like, there's these great combos, and it's like,
I got to start doing
that. It's like it makes more sense. Yeah, obviously you're still dealing with RNG, but it you can at least potentially go down a route of okay, if I get this, then maybe I can couple with this, and it makes sense because I've gotten it before, but never together with like two boons together and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, still having a blast with it. And it's just you're right. It's like I feel like it is still like the perfect game.
Yeah, it just is, and it's one of those what I think is so brilliant, and obviously you'll start playing other games and put that down.
Yeah.
But you always come back to it once in a while. You're just like, I gotta do another run.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely one of those like it can it scratches the itch for a little bit, and just like you can put it down, pick it up, wherever you left off, and just go at it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely. It brings another game to mind, which I'll get to on my turn. But it's another one where, again, the design was so intentional and so perfectly done that it's like I can't. There's not one bad thing I can say about that game. I really can't. I can't think of a negative thing about Hades.
Yeah. Same here. Like I'd say the only bad thing is like, where's the DLC? But apparently they're not even doing that. It's like a fully complete game.
Yeah, Supergiant games generally don't do that. They're like, we're gonna give you the whole game, as we see it, and that's it. Like they're not gonna milk it.
I can fully appreciate that.
I kind of wish they would though. I would.
Oh yeah, it's like I definitely want it's like give me more in the sense of like maybe like another set of levels or something, like go up to Olympus, type of thing.
A little more crack, You can't just cut us off here.
Got any more of that Hades?
No, but I mean, and in a way, that's their genius. Like,
oh yeah,
this is definitely their best game. But like, Bastion was great. As another great one by them.
Yes.
Transistor was great. It's
fantastic games. Absolutely, yeah. I played those.
Yeah, they make wonderful, wonderful games, and like to me, they've become like what I think everybody thought CDPR was going to be with Cyberpunk, where it's just like, no, this is that developer. Just give them the time, let them do their thing, and they'll give you some quality. Like they released it in early access. I remember being a very early adopter on Hades, not quite getting it at first. Like understanding it, but as it went along, and then I kind of forgot about it, as we talked about, and then the No Clip documentary came out as they were getting ready for 1.0, and I was like, holy shit, this has really come a long way.
Yeah.
And then it just, again, it's another like big high mark, if not the highest mark in their catalog, man. Like, oh god, Greg Kasavin and the crew over there are just, they're killing it. Like you can just tell, like they just put, I'm just kissing their ass, and I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like their approach, like I would say it's almost very much like a grassroots style approach to how they, they got the game out there. It's like, you mentioned like CDPR. It's like, obviously it's like Witcher 3, I think like, it set the bar real high. And obviously now speaking of which, there's also season 2 coming.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Looking sweet there. But I mean, that kind of builds into maybe like part of the problem. Like, I don't know if CDPR is part of those rights, or if it's like the Witcher people control the rights to that. So I'm curious on that.
I think they still have rights to make games with the property. I mean
like who controls like the series? Like, does CDPR have any say in that, or is it simply
the TV series? They have
Witcher
none.
people have
no, they have none.
Okay.
That's more on the Witcher people, and
okay, gotcha.
I can't think of his name, Andre something or other. But no, CDPR just basically bought the rights to make games in that world. And this gets into a sticky thing if you want to read something interesting, but it was one of those very similar to Tolkien, where Tolkien let the movie rights for his books go for pretty much nothing, because at the time he was just like, this is never going to be filmed. There's no way you could film this. So he didn't really think about, that long term. When they bought the rights to make the first Witcher game, when CDPR made the first one, I don't know, 10 years ago now, maybe more.
Something like that, yeah.
It was, in all respects, it was a good deal for the author. There's been some stink now. He's real upset that like the game has done so well and he only got this much. And it's like, brother, that's what you signed for.
Yeah, that's what drew my question, because I remember not necessarily, well, it probably is a falling out, but yeah, just kind of a bit of a row between the author and CDPR in terms of like, The Witcher 3 like just heightened all this. They made so much off of it.
It was one of the series definitely owes its thank you to The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
As much as I loved the first 2 Witcher games, nobody really knew what those were.
Yeah, it established that popularity of it. Yeah. But it ultimately goes back to the CDPR. So like The Witcher 3 set this bar so high that it's like, okay, when Cyberpunk came out, that it's the usual, like it got overhyped by its own fan base. I think that's a big part of it, and I think the fan base kind of let themselves down a bit too, because a lot of people forget. I didn't, because I bought The Witcher 3 at release. Forget what a mess that game was. Oh yeah, it was like it took a while before it got to a good point, but it was like I think by the time they had like Game of the Year and it was coming out on multiple consoles and like Nintendo and all that, where it's like it entered like a level of gaming consciousness that is like it's like everyone knew Witcher 3. But that's part of it too. Like you go back to like Witcher 1 and 2, it's like a lot. Like hell, I haven't even played Witcher 1. I dabbled in 2 and it was okay, but it was just like so Witcher 3 set that bar so high, and and then it's like they're riding on the hype, they're letting the hype ride, and then it lands, and it's just like there's no way any game, and this has happened with other games too, where like if something gets just so hyped up, because the player base is so fervent for what has happened in the past, and they think like, oh yeah, we're going to capture lightning in a bottle a second time, which sometimes happens. Don't get me wrong; it depends on whatever the game happens to be. But yeah, it's well beyond the scope of like any reasonable expectation, and so it ends up letting people down.
It does. I think there is definitely blame to lay at CDPR's feet, though.
Oh yeah, again, this is not letting them off the hook by any stretch of the imagination.
But in comparison, again, let's talk Supergiant. Like every time Supergiant Games starts out to make a new game, they basically make it a point to say, we're going to try something else. Yeah. Don't compare our last games. This might not work, but we're going to do our thing, and we hope you like it. And that has been their approach every time. And whereas CDPR, I think, kind of jumped on, in a sense, the Howard train of, this is going to be amazing!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And it's like, you're right. Supergiant kind of, they set the bar in the opposite direction of like, hey, we're out to make something cool. Like I would say the only relation thing, like commonality, at least with like the 3 mentioned, was like it's an isometric view, but that's where it ends.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because I feel like Transistor, Hades, and Bastion are completely different games in every respect. Great, obviously great storytelling. Isometric is like the only two.
It's about it.
Any unique comparison, but and again, it's that whole grassroots thing where it's like they kind of because I want to say Bastion did it go through an early access?
Yes, if I remember correctly. I might be pushing it here, but I think Bastion was at the very.
It was at the cusp of when early access.
Beginning of early access.
Yeah, like started to become a thing. Yeah. I want to say they went through like a Kickstarter or something, and
something like that. There was something, if I remember correctly.
Definitely wasn't like Steam early access, but but nonetheless, it was like the early cusp. So and I'd say that's almost genius because some of the videos I've come across for Hades have been like 3-4 years old. I'm like, wow, this thing has been around forever. But then I realized like when I'm watching, it's like, oh, this was during early access development, and like some of the abilities have like drastically changed since then. But I think they also took early access in a correct fashion, that they let their players play it and kind of like hammer out the problems.
Listen to it. They listen to the issues and the people that stuck by, for sure.
Exactly.
So all right. Hades aside. What else?
Yeah, Hades aside. Phasmophobia celebrated. I think it's 1 year.
Oh, wonderful!
It had it, and they've been adding new stuff left and right. I think maybe a month or two ago they added some new ghosts. Completely redid the ghost. Well, I say redid, but basically everything you knew about the ghosts about 2 months ago is completely different now because they had to add the new ghosts. They added some new equipment to work with.
Well, I'm going on about a year here, so
yeah. So, but yeah, still absolutely terrifying. I think since you played, they've added a new map, maybe 2 maps.
I'm going to say the last new map I remember was the Asylum.
Okay, yeah, they had this, but now they got it like a prison level and
the prison level. That was the last new one I remember.
Yeah, they got that one, and then they have a very, very tiny house, like smaller than like the one Roadhouse thing. It is like it's crazy tiny, and it's so tiny that basically if you have a requirement for trying to get the ghost to hunt you or something and survive, like you're not surviving. Yeah, it's too small. So and it's been awesome, and they've been taking suggestions, and I'll plug Edge, who's part of the crew. He put in a fantastic suggestion that's getting crazily upvoted on the Discord, and basically it boils down into they're looking for more things to put into for a hard mode or something like that.
Yeah,
and the idea is there's a breaker switch in the game normally. And all you have to do is just, flip it on. The ghost will sometimes throw the breaker, and you got to go reset it. Yeah. His suggestion that's getting crazily upvoted is you have to find the actual breakers, or breaker,
like the actual fuse switches.
Yeah, the fuse switches. Thank you. Find the fuse switches in the house, and maybe there's only a limited amount of fuse switches. So if the ghost blows through the fuses, you're working in darkness the entire time. Then.
That's awesome.
And it's getting a lot of crazy upvotes. So if you like Phasmophobia, go on the Discord, go find it up. You give it the upvote.
So it's funny you mentioned that because I was gonna bring it up later, but it is getting around that time of year in about a month or so where I'm gonna do a Extra Life again. And if Krieger in the gang, I would definitely love to end my night the same way because
doing it on 24.
I can't tell y'all enough. That gave me the boost of energy I needed to make it to the end.
Sure.
I was falling asleep by 9:30, 10 o'clock. Don't remember what I was playing, but I was getting real tired. And then y'all had me, we're like, oh, let's go play this. And I jumped on that with y'all, and by 1:30, 2 in the morning, I'm like, let's go again. Y'all are like, no, man, we're tired.
We're done. They're always down for more Phasmophobia. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was great. That was great times, especially when I think it was Krieger's wife scared the shit out of him. I never laughed so hard in my life. It was the best fucking thing that has ever happened on any of my streams. Oh, God. Oh, so great. But that's awesome. All right. So you're playing some Phasmophobia. What else we got there?
The last is Icarus Beta Weekend 3.
The Arctic region. I can't wait to hear about it.
It's absolutely wild. They added the Arctic zone. You still have the forest zone. So basically you crash land, but you drop pod into the forest as usual. And basically, you have to, do the same things we were doing the last 2 weekends, just, survive and whatnot. But we have to transition eventually over to the Arctic region. So you're doing a lot of migratory, hopping, making little, shelters and whatnot along the way, and then establish basically a base in the freezing Arctic. It is fantastic looking. I mean, it looks like you're walking on one of those glaciers in Iceland, and but you're surrounded by mountains. It's completely barren. You have complete line of sight as a result, so you can see polar bears in the distance, patrolling, wolves, in packs running around. And because there's no trees, it's you can see as far as the eye can see type of thing. But it also means there's
build a house.
Exactly. There are no supplies there. Or bear, there's driftwood here and there. There's enough if you can scrounge it together, but it's not readily available. So
but can you make an igloo if you have a knife?
Oh man, that would be awesome if you could make an igloo. No, you can't make an igloo. Not currently.
I feel like that's a misstep on their part.
Oh, that would be
I
awesome.
mean, you are a space ranger.
Yeah, I know, right?
You should have a blowtorch knife.
make
You
little
should
ice
be able to.
cubes.
Yeah, you should be able to carve some ice blocks. I'm gonna submit that idea. I feel like they're missing something here.
It was
No,
like that. And I would love to have be able to tame the wolves and have a sled dog team so you can just
see,
ride through the snow
we
area.
need to be making games.
I know, right?
They're not capitalizing on that environment.
That's right.
I mean, you can still make it cold as shit, and anytime you step outside the igloo, you better have furs on and your temperature gauge is dropping.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have our furs on, and yeah, you're just freezing to death if you're not we're hovering around like campfires at night, when the temperature drops well below zero. It's it is
Super
absolutely
cool.
hilarious.
That's super cool. Yeah, no, I'm actually gonna definitely be picking that up.
Yep, 2 weeks. It's going to be the desert region. Will be the next beta weekend in 2 weeks. And then
see that's my shit. Walk without rhythm.
Yeah, that's right.
Walk without rhythm, so you don't attract the worm. Yeah, no, dude.
The spice must flow.
Yeah, we got what, 2 months for that? 1 month?
Is it? Well, I know they had the European
release.
It
back. Well, they pushed. I think it was originally Halloween.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Hold on. I got to look this up. This is
I'm looking for it. It's looking fantastic.
That's what I mean. I don't care about any other movie this year.
Yeah.
Except this one. This is what I want. October 22nd. Yeah!
Oh, there you go. End of October. Yeah. I didn't realize Alan Skarsgård was in it as the Duke.
That one. Yes, that one's going to be Harkonnen.
Yeah, and the bear.
Oscar Isaac is going to be the Duke Leto.
Yeah. I mean, all the roles look fantastic.
Wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
Jason Momoa is Duncan, Idaho. Give it to me, baby. Let's do this. It just looks.
I'm excited.
It is so brilliantly casted. I cannot fucking wait. Oh my god, Batista is going to be Raban. Wow.
Yeah, Batista's in it. Who else? Oscar Isaac looks great as the Duke.
Oh, Javier Bardem is in it too. He's going to be Stilgar. Oh man!
It feels like the same thing they did with the one back in the 80s. It's an all-star cast,
Yeah, it's just the same thing, man. Instead of Patrick Stewart playing Gurney Halleck, now we have Bran from the Goonies. I'll take it.
Yeah, right. Josh Brolin.
Oh fucking hell, man! I can't wait. This is gonna be, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
And for me, Hans Zimmer is doing the soundtrack, so I'm looking forward to listening to that.
Oh yes. I mean. You can't go wrong with Zimmer. Let's just leave it there.
It's hard to go wrong with him, I think.
Did they release that yet? Can I buy it yet?
That's a good question.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
I need to buy something tonight. Let's see. Dune 2021 soundtrack.
It's got 3 albums apparently. Wow.
Holy fuck. Yeah, Hans. Can I buy it now? I'll listen to that shit.
Slated release October 22nd. Will accompany making of book.
He posted 3 original sources.
Yeah, available 22nd. Yep, it'll be available for download on 22nd.
October or September?
October.
Fuck. All right. I had my finger on the Amazon trigger there for a minute.
And then there's a special edition one, apparently. I probably have to get that one.
Yes, for longtime fans, you already know Nick was the original supplier of my movie soundtrack, Heroin, and I've never stopped.
The digital album will release on Dunes. The digital album release of
the 22nd, yeah.
Zimmer Score will be on September 17th, apparently.
Wait a minute.
It is out. What?
Back to Amazon we go.
Is it out?
I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
The books inspire the composer and hold you pre-order. Okay, so maybe the special edition thing is the 22nd. So I'm
special edition thing is the 22nd, but Daddy just bought the MP3 music.
There you go. Listen to some Zimmer tonight.
All right. Well, how about them fucking apples? $10.49. You are now in my library and my day tomorrow.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Excellent. Yeah, Hans Zimmer is like an insta-buy for any of you that are thinking of dabbling in heroin movie soundtracks. Hans Zimmer is a great gateway drug.
He is indeed.
Probably one of the worst, because then you'll be buying everybody else. You're like, well, if he tastes this good, I can't wait. And it's like, well, you'll be
Your
chasing the
first
white
steps
rabbit.
into a larger world.
Yeah, you'll be chasing the dragon most of the time, but Hans Zimmer's always your dependable hookup. Oh, shit. Yeah, so for me...
Yeah, what do you got going
on? Life has just been, school stuff, kids open house. I was sick earlier this week. Thank God it wasn't COVID.
Oof.
Vaccine, thank you, Pfizer, doing what you do. No, it was, and that's the shitty thing nowadays. It's like the second you get a head cold, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, what is it? Yep.
What is it? But no, it was just a head cold. And our school has a mask mandate, so at least they're kind of doing the right thing, so I'm fine with that. But, so I was dealing with that, and then I was playing Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous like crazy. Easily my game of the year. I finally did hit a game-breaking bug on my Azada, neutral kind of, not neutral god, but like hippie chaotic good god game that I'm playing. And I'm actually working with the devs to try to get it fixed. It was sad because they released a patch early in the week and they're like, we fixed this bug with the Azada path where you couldn't talk to this person. And I was like, that's exactly what I'm dealing with. And I loaded it up and I'm like, fuck, nope, still broke. And I just sent it to them. But I did start another game where I wanted to go like the Nick character in every D&D game. I wanted to go like the Angel Paladin. I wanted to try the super, lawful good path and try to become an angel. So I'm working on that. And it is just as satisfying and just as fun as the one that I was playing. But there's so many other paths. Like there's one where you can become a dragon. There's one where, if you find the right things and you want to be badass enough, and evil enough, you can become a lich. Like, it really is an awesome game of choice that really makes you feel like you're back at the table. It's just got bugs. It's nowhere near as bad as Kingmaker was at release, but I'm going to give it some time to cook on the stove a little longer. Let some more patches come in before I get as invested as I was. And it was perfect timing because pretty much the second I put that down, Diablo 2 Resurrected dropped.
Yes.
Yes, and I will preface this with I fully, for the sake of sounding hypocritical, even admit that like I can hear this rationalization happening in my head, but I was on the fence about whether or not to get this, and I guess what kind of did it for me is I actually have, previous coworkers and friends that are either working there now or have been working there for a while. I think one or two have actually been on this team that released this game, and it is one of those, like, I know, their bonuses, and a lot of that shit will depend on how well the game sells.
Right.
So that was a driver for me to kind of go with the fence and say, yeah, I'm going to buy it. And the other thing is, I was like, well, even if I didn't, it's not going to make a difference because there's going to be 10 billion other people that are going to buy the next, Call of Duty anyway. And
right.
Activision's still going to make their money. It's totally rationalizing, and I fully admit it.
Hey, I picked the game up too just because it's that old school nostalgia, and I wanted to see, how did they approach it, and it's kind of the same thought process. Like, it's like there are probably good devs out there that worked on.
There absolutely are. Like there are people that I know working there now that are part of that crowd that are literally putting their careers on the line,
right,
to try to make things better there, and I want to support that at least, in some way. And hopefully, they make the change that company desperately needs. But I do want to get into, because we talked about this when the Command & Conquer remaster came out. And I would say it's equally brilliant on that level, if not better. But I would say they're on par. Mainly because where Diablo 2 obviously comes out ahead is I think it had a much larger, broader, a numerous fan base that I think Command and Conquer did.
Sure.
But I feel like the Diablo 2 Resurrected is a masterclass in how to do a proper remaster of a classic game. So you picked it up. I gather you've played it. What do you think first before I start babbling?
So, I've seen some of the feedback and basically, I went for the plain Jane one. Like, it's a little, a little weird, I guess, if you went for the super high dollar one, because all it did was give you some stuff for Diablo 3 or give you Diablo 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, you only got Diablo 3 stuff if you bought the extra.
So, yeah, it's like $40. So it's like that fits into my category of like, that's an acceptable for a remaster. Definitely on the high side. I'd say 30, 40 is like,
I thought it was 30. Was it not 30?
No, it was like maybe like $39.99.
Oh, it was 39. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
so
okay.
Basically $40. So, but it's like, yeah, they didn't seem to mess with it as far as I could tell. And again, reading up on like, the kind of the detail hunters on things, like that seems to be the case. Like they did some quality of life improvements, which is fantastic. And I think tied in more with the fact they released on consoles. Which apparently plays really well with the controller now. I'll still be keyboard. I'll still be old school.
I honestly, and so this is coming from somebody who still has their Diablo 2 Collector's Edition from 2000 when I was working in the factory with my friend Paul.
Yeah.
Still have it. Still have the soundtrack. Still have the box. This was everything I could have hoped for in a remaster for a lot of things. For one, I recommend playing with a controller. The only reason being,
really?
Yeah, and again, I'm normally keyboard and mouse all the way.
Right.
But there is one oversight I have not been able to reconcile. Maybe I'm missing something.
Okay.
The only thing you can do is map your skills to your secondary skills to the F keys, and you are only switching them with the F keys.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you hit F3, you'll switch to this ability to use with the right button.
Correct. Yeah.
Whereas if you plug in a controller, you can map your skills to each button.
Oh.
And just use it that way. And to me, I would call that the biggest quality of life improvement, because they did it with Diablo 3, and that was what won me over playing it with a controller. And granted, you could map the keyboard in Diablo 3, but it just goes to show you
you're not hot swapping out the one skill via the keyboard. Interesting.
Right,
okay.
right. Whereas, again, I think to their credit for that style of play, they didn't mess with the bones too much. But if I had one gripe about the entire thing, it was that. Whereas it's like the second I plugged in a controller, I had a huge advantage over the keyboard and mouse play. But there's so much brilliance to this. For one, just like Command and Conquer, being able to tap a button and see the classic graphics, and I know you'll pick up on this, Nick, because you're as audiophile as I am.
Yep.
It actually changes over to the classic soundtrack. It's very subtle. It's very subtle.
I'm going to switch it out and listen to that then.
Very subtle.
I've been mostly playing in the reformat or the remaster version. And it looks absolutely sharp, for the remaster.
It's gorgeous. The remaster graphically, it amazes me how much they were able to add on top of the old bones. You know what I mean? Like and it's the little touches. It's the stuff where, like, I was semi-dreading getting to Act 3. Mainly because
actually sucks. That stupid jungle run.
And that was my least favorite part of the original game, visually, because even at the time, it felt like they were trying to present a setting that the technology just was not there for yet.
Right.
So you had like a lot of black space on the edges. It was overly dark, where it wasn't dark to be spooky. It was dark because we didn't have the technology to fill that shit in. And to make it, more appropriate to what it should be. And you'll see that. Like, if you get to Kurast and you switch to legacy mode, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. I noticed with, like, the remaster is the lighting effect. Like, there's a lot more lighting effects happening. And it's like, okay, that's definitely like modern tech with that. And then you realize, like, yeah, they were using the darkness of the old one to not render things and to just
to
like
hide the
cut down on
limitations.
horsepower. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that is interesting.
It is, and it was an interesting choice that a lot of people look at like, oh, that's what made the game so scary. But I mean, even on the remaster, when you put the new graphics on, it's still dark as fuck most of the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like there's still dark portions, but it's in such sharp contrast to the lighting effects, which absolutely fantastic. Even like the background, like like walking into the cathedral in not Tristram, but in Act 1, basically.
The Rogues Cathedral. Yeah,
the roads. Yeah, it's just like just the background, and just like wow, they did a good job. Like and it's just like the background never popped out in 2 in the original 2, but now it's like. Yeah, but it's not overwhelming. It's not like oh, look at this. No, it's like they actually did a good job with this.
No, and that's what it is. It's a ton of subtle touches that add up. Like the one thing they were not able to convey in the original version, and you're getting at it when you first get to the monastery, the Rogues Monastery, and you're going up to those gates. When you see that in the new version, you're like, those fucking gates are massive.
Oh yeah,
and like. They tried in the original with what they had, but even back then you're like, it looks kind of like a smushed door on a pizza pie. But it was what we had at the time. The other places I really noticed it when you're playing in the beginning and you go to like the Den of Evil in the first quest you get from Kara in the Rogue Village, and you're in that cave. I was walking near the edge of the cave and I'm like, oh, look at all these like fucking tents and shit on the edge here. None of this was here before, but it looks like people are actually living in here. Demons, no doubt, but like the stuff on the edges that used to just be black darkness is like filled in a very believable way. And it's like, fuck, that is so cool. And that's what I think makes Act 3, which used to be my least favorite part of the game, I hated going through it, is now one of my favorites. Like, I have been going through the jungle part on this, like, yeah, this feels like Medicine Man from Hell. This is what I wanted. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's the subtle quality of life things that you were getting at. Auto gold pickup. Like,
yes, yeah, it's like, oh,
fucking hell, dude.
I mean, still do a lot of loot pickup. Like that's
sure.
Anyone who's played with me knows that I hoover up loot, and it's because of Diablo 2. Like, good or bad habit, probably more bad habit is like.
Well, this drops. I better grab it before someone else does.
It's like, yeah, exactly. No, anyone who also knows me, I end up sharing the loot after. Like,
you're a giver.
I'm a giver. It's like I just gotta make sure it's got acquired. We're good.
I just gotta make sure I don't need it first.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also there's a lot of little subtle ones like there's the auto gold pickup, there's the quick sort that seems to work better than it did originally. Maybe I'm just reimagining it. The one thing that I don't remember being in the original, if I have my controller plugged in at least, this is because I play most this way. If you hover over your belt and you have some empty slots, but you have like a healing potion in the first slot, and then a mana potion in the second slot, but the other top 2 or top 3 are empty, if you hold in the right stick, if you have potions in your inventory, it'll auto-populate your belt.
I noticed that playing keyboard, like, it was... Yeah, as soon as I was picking it up, it was trying to populate it in the belt. I didn't even have to click on it.
Oh, it was doing it automatically?
Yeah, it was just all together automatic. So it was like, I couldn't remember if that was the thing. I was like, I don't remember. I think I had to load those things. But I was like, oh, this is pretty nice. I know another thing they added was shared inventory.
The shared stash. Oh my god, so great.
Yeah, for everyone who does muling, you no longer have to do the whole, drop it in the camp and then switch to your other character and log into the thing and all that. Like, now you can just send it over to your mule and you're fine.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful portion. Also, that each shared stash section has its own money. I don't know if you noticed that. But
yes.
You can donate gold to each one. Which is sweet. It just, again, I'm still finding little bits and tweaks here and there, but the graphics really blew me away. And then I was talking to Alistair in the Classic Gamers Guild. He's a musician that spends like he does a lot of hobbyist stuff of like restoring like actual or recreating actual Roland MT32 soundtracks. He does a
wow.
lot of stuff. He's awesome. Like he's somebody, Nick, I know you could talk to for hours, and he does great work. And he was on the fence about getting this, and I had said, one of the things that I was really shocked with was the remaster on the soundtrack, and I kind of left it at that. And then I understood his reply where he's like, well, he's a little hesitant because he's like, I don't know why you'd want to mess with something like that. That was perfect. And I agree with him. The original Diablo 2 soundtrack is, again, it's another masterclass at perfection in soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, where I think this remaster really shined is it didn't go out of its way to make it too different. Again, you wouldn't necessarily pick it up if you're not really into this shit. But, like, the best example I can give you is go back to Luke Lane, go into the palace,
Mm-hmm.
The palace levels,
Right.
and then play a floor with legacy mode, switch over to the classic mode,
Right.
and then play another floor with the new mode. That probably got the least subtle touching up. The rest are very subtle, like deeper drums, more more voices, more instruments, more layers, but not a lot. Like, not a bunch. It's just enough to where you're like, oh, fuck, that little bit is great. But, man, going through that palace with the new soundtrack, the vocals that they re-layered on there from the original are just like,
Yeah.
I can't do, you know what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
It is gorgeous. It's just, oh, man. Again, if wrapping this up on this particular piece, it is such an awesome remaster. I have had so much fun with it. I'm coming to the end of Act 3. And one of my favorite things, possibly my favorite thing, and I'm ashamed to admit I got it on PC, I bought it on Switch, and then I bought it on Xbox. I can pretty much play with everybody. But what's brilliant is that once you link your Battle.net account to any of those
Right.
other services, it's not cross-play, but like if you had a Switch, Nick, and you had bought this on Switch, I could jump on with you right now with my level 27 sorceress.
So your character can jump.
Your character can jump
to the particular platform. Nice. Okay.
That is fucking great. I totally understand that they couldn't do cross-play.
That's always a weird territory to get into.
It's a tough one to get into, but the fact that they facilitated that you could bring your character to any of those platforms is genius.
Yeah, sure.
So, if you have Xbox, PC, or Switch and you want to play with me, let me know. What'd you get it on, by the way? PC?
PC. Yep.
Nice. Where are you at right now?
Just completed Act 1. So yeah,
Okay.
it's just slowly going through it. It's basically it's like it's able to get through Act 1, and then Icarus beta weekend hit, and it's like switch to that, and I'll go back when I feel like it.
If you're gonna play this week, let me know.
Okay.
What class are you playing?
Running the assassin right now.
Perfect. I'm playing sorceress, and I have a shit ton in my shared stash of assassin gear because I wasn't sure what my next character was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a bunch of uniques, like unique equipment and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Or yellow stuff, whatever. So we'll have to hook up this week. I'll load you up.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're getting to the end of Act 1, you'll be able to use most of it. So
absolutely.
Fuck yeah, dude. You know what? And I think with the graphics upgrade, especially, is all things considered, it kind of put it on par with Diablo 3 graphics.
Yeah, I would agree. Like they brought it up to at least that level, and I think it works. Like you can tell the underlying mechanics are there in terms of the walking style and whatnot. It's like they kind of preserve that from the original, but it's just a very nice sheen to it.
And I maybe I'm just being old and get off my lawn, but I feel like this shows why 2 is the better game. There's just the bones of this game, the mechanics of it, the loot, everything, every single aspect of this game, especially with the visual touch-ups, just feels a little bit better. Not a ton. Like, Diablo 3 is a great game. I'm not going to take that away from it. It was a piece of garbage when it launched. But, again, in a weird way, you can tell that the bones of Diablo 3 were built on an auction house.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
I think, absolutely. Like, the thing is, like, yeah, D3, for lack of a better term, it felt like they were trying too hard. Is what it was.
Yeah.
Like, combination of the auction house factor and just like they were just trying to like up themselves somehow, because and we go back to this conversation of like setting the bar
like
so
CDPR.
high.
Yeah.
It's the bar was set so high by Diablo 2, and that's the thing. Like, you look at all the other kind of isometric RPGs around that time, they were emulating D2, and
Absolutely.
so when you got to D3, it's like okay, they were they were trying to capture that lightning in the bottle. And I think that was always my biggest problem with it too. It's just like, it's like, okay, yeah, I've gone back to the universe, but it's just like something's not the same. It's just wasn't clicking. Like, part of it may have been like, I think the one I always like to go to is the way they told the story in between. Because in D2, like, even the fact that they updated the in-game cinematics, like, that was fantastic.
The cinematics are gorgeous. The remastered cinematics.
Yeah, it looks great. But it's like you had this full motion, in-game animation thing, or not in-game but animatics rather, in D2, and it helped like tell this story, these interims between, and then again you go to D3 and it's these moving picture, Photoshop, moving picture style.
They had some. No, they had some cinematics. They did.
Yeah, what, the opening and the end?
No, and didn't they have it with the black soulstone scene too? Maybe you're right.
No, that was the start. I think again the start of the expansion, but it was only like the beginning and the end where they actually had animatics. Everything else in between was this moving picture.
You're
scroller.
Right. Fuck, you're right.
And, like, it wasn't bad, but to me, coming from D2, it felt so jarring. It's
and
like,
in fact, what you're getting at is something I have not been able to put my finger on all weekend, and I've just now figured it out. And it's that the cutscenes, or whatever they were in 3, directly involved you and what you're doing. And It was like, yeah, I fucking know that. Like, I just did that.
It's like, and they defeated the evil, and then they went to the next level.
Whereas 2, what makes 2 so wonderful, and what I'm enjoying so much about it, is again getting to experience Marius's tale, where you're hearing Marius's story, and the whole time you watch these cinematics, you're realizing, fuck, I'm 2 steps behind.
Yeah, I think that was it. Like, you're putting the pieces together, following the trail, and it's like, will I catch up to Marius in time? And obviously, spoiler alert, you never do. But again, that first playthrough is like, are we gonna catch up to him? Are we gonna be able to like help him?
Especially when you get to Act 3, if you remember, when you leave Kurust, who do you run into in the jungle right away? The Dark Wanderer.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, there he is, we found him, and then bloop, he disappears on
and he's gone.
Yeah,
like, that to me made that story so much more compelling, because again, let's go back to Act 2. When you get into Talrosh's tomb, you put the staff, you've unlocked the door, and you're like, fuck, it's gonna go down. I'm gonna be fighting Bale, and it's gonna be fucking crazy. You step through the door, and you get an even cheaper motherfucker in slug form that's like, looking for Bale, as he freezes and smashes the shit out of me, and I die 8 times in a row. But I fucking hate Duriel. Cannot stand Duriel. But anyway, but it was one of those, like, that was an awesome twist the first time I played. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not here. And then you get into his actual chamber, and there's Tyrael, and it's like, oh shit. And then you get the cinematic for Act 3, and it's like, oh my god, dude. But like, one of my favorite cinematics of any game in any game history is the Act 2 cinematic for Diablo 2, where Marius is like, we crossed the desert and we walked for days. And that fucking scene of him sitting with the Dark Wanderer at the campfire, and he has that dream, and he wakes up, and he's like, "Now you understand, Marius. That's what I'm going for." Or going like,
Yeah, that's
"That's
what I
my
seek.
brother.
Yeah.
That's my brother. That's what I seek." And it's like, fuck, dude, like that, like, and the way they remastered it, the way he looks.
Oh yeah, it's creepy as all get out.
God,
Like,
it's just so fucking good, dude. Like, again, when from now on, when I hear someone is going to make a remaster of a game that I like this is what it has to compare to, because I think, and I think you'll agree with me, when we hear a remaster, this is what we want. We want the
yeah.
bones of the original to be there. And in this
Yeah.
case, it's even more so. It's like, yeah, the bones, heart, and muscles are still there. We just gave you some new fancy skin.
Yeah, and you know, it's skin that, you know, that looks great, and you know,
and a fresh pack of cigarettes for quality of life. Like,
right, exactly. Don't it's like whereas like the other end is like what's happened with the Final Fantasy series, where like they updated and like the graphic, or not the graphic, the font is all wonky. Yeah, it's like if you're gonna do that, like you got to make it look, you know, or at least have the option. Like I also like the option of being able to switch back.
I love the option to switch it off.
There's
and
the classic view.
Now,
here's the new view.
Command and Conquer did that brilliantly. They did the same thing with the soundtrack, but it's more pronounced with Diablo 2. I'm telling you, dude, take like 10 seconds in each new scene, or new area. Just switch over to Legacy mode. Just let the audio sink in, and then you can start comparing, and you can literally see the masterfully done subtle layers of just things that they probably wanted to do at first. And again, they had to work with the limitations. Excuse me, of what they had. And it's just, it's so good. So yeah, if anybody's wondering, if anybody's on the fence, I know my buddy Rob, one of the first people to call on the show, actually, in our early days, Super Lobster. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong. I'm tired and I'm forgetting names. But he was kind of, you know, on the fence. Should I get this? Should I not? And he hasn't played it yet. And he's our age. He just hasn't played Diablo 2 yet.
Oh, okay.
And I said to him, I was like, dude, I envy you your first adventure. It's like whenever I talk to somebody that hasn't seen the game with Michael Douglas, and they're like, I was thinking of watching this, and I'm like, I would give anything to be sitting in that seat for the first time again, because it's one of those experiences. The first time you experience it and enjoy it, there's nothing like it. Diablo 2, not so much, because you can play it over and over and it's still a lot of fun. But like the game with Michael Douglas is one of those movies that once you've seen it start to finish, it's a masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
But watching it over again is like, all right.
Yeah, you know what's coming. You understand. It's like, oh yeah.
You understand everything, and you pick stuff out, and it's more of a picking out of what I missed, you know, the first time. But it is one of those, like, the reveal, the plot, you know, and just, again, I remember what it was like to experience Diablo 2 for the first time and play through that summer with my buddy Paul. And it was one of those, like, it was one of my favorite gaming experiences. And then that's all I played for a summer. Like, all of us, all we ever did was fucking play Diablo at nights and on weekends. And, so if you're on the fence, especially if you've never played it, and I think that's the second bit of genius that this remaster does, is for the people that haven't played it, I think this upgrade really makes a more than efficient bridge for people that are used to today's games to come back and play this, and it won't be so jarring. Because, like, you know, when I jumped in the first time, I was like, oh man, this looks great. This remaster looks great. And then I didn't realize how great until I switched over to Legacy mode, and I'm like, that's what it used to look like before my brain fucked with it over 10 years.
Right. Yeah, imagination fills in a lot.
It really does. And I think that's another bit of genius with this remaster, is being able to flip that switch and be like, oh yeah, oh that was awesome back in 2000. I love that they've put it in a position where you're going to be playing the same game Nick and I played back in the day, but for people that are used to newer games, this will just be a great game. A great game to play with great graphics, great design, and some of the best systems in any game that you'll ever play. Like, I'm telling you, they might have shit the bed with the Warcraft 3 thing, but they more than made up for it with this.
Yeah, and I think the other thing it is because apparently, like people were expecting, like, oh, it had new stuff. Like, no, like I don't think they ever said that.
They never said that. They literally
straight
said,
up D2. Like,
yep,
as people remember,
you can hit a switch and see the game that it is running on. There's nothing different.
So if you're expecting some new experience, some new things, like that's not here. So
no. So it's good shit, man. I cannot recommend it enough. It just shows 21 years later that this is still one of the best games around. And addicting as fuck, and still just as good as it used to be.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. I think we spent as much time as that deserved, and that was almost 15 minutes. And it totally did. Like, I have to give huge props to the team that worked on it. I have one or two buddies working there now. Just masterpiece. Like, I hope y'all are getting some well-deserved time off, because this might be the only thing Blizzard has done right all year. It's great. But, so we're going to news. Oh, we had some releases. Another one I grabbed this week I cannot wait to play. The Castlevania Advanced Collection came out for $20. And if you had a Game Boy Advance, or if you didn't, it was the portable Castlevania games, all of which were inspired by Symphony of the Night, and they're fantastic. Curse of the Moon. There's a couple. There's a couple games in the collection. They're fantastic. If you've never played them, like, you can get it on Xbox right now. You can get it on Steam right now. Absolutely worth it. And if you enjoyed Castlevania Symphony of the Night, this was the portable version of it. It's on Switch too, so rock it out. It's completely fantastic. I cannot wait to dive into this again once I chop Diablo's head off. In news, really, since this isn't a month between episodes, really the biggest thing in the past 2 weeks has been the Nintendo Direct that happened 2 days ago. Or a day ago, maybe. Still very fresh. There were some really cool highlights. I did get to catch the highlights of it. I did not watch it live. It was kind of late, and I'm old. Or I was playing Diablo. And, but yeah, they showed we had a Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a new Kirby coming. I love the Kirby series. Cannot wait to play some more in that one. I think the more interesting one that really piqued my fancy, and you don't have a Switch, do you? Or
not yet. I've been eyeballing the new one that's going to be coming out soon. But yeah,
don't bother. Don't bother with that one. It's just an OLED expanded screen.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to be like, get yourself a Switch Lite. You'll be just as happy.
Just that. Okay, gotcha.
Or, I mean, if you want to play it on your TV, then get a Switch. But if you just want the portable, like, I'm going to go kick back in bed, play some games.
Yep.
Or just take it on the go. The Switch Lite is the way to go. My kids have one.
Okay.
I have one. I love it. I almost never play it on TV, to be honest with you. Anyway, so Nintendo Online, there's an online subscription you can get. I think it's like $50 a year. And this is what they have now, where you get a bunch of Nintendo games, a bunch of Super Nintendo games that you can just play. And they release like some online ones. Like right now, the big one, they just ended the previous one, which I'm actually really sad about because it was wicked fun, which was the Super Mario 25, which you can't play anymore, which is sad. But it was basically Super Mario Brothers, but you could play it like Battle Royale style against 25 other people. And just like Tetris 99, where you select the player that you're going to punish, basically. And when you jump on a mushroom or you do this, like, you're sending another mushroom over to their game. And it was a blast. That aside, the big one right now is Pac-Man 99. Let me tell you, if you thought Pac-Man was a pain in the balls to begin with,
competing against other people playing Pac-Man,
98 other assholes complicating it for you. But it's what I think the Nintendo subscription does really geniusly is like it really gives you a shit ton of stuff for $50 a year. I don't even think it's that expensive, to be honest with you. So it's a hell of a deal, and that allows you to play online with other people too. So it's a pretty nice little package for the money that it is. So they announced that they're going to be giving an expansion pass to the online package, and they're going to be including N64 games into that.
Really?
But it's going to be a couple bucks extra. Whatever. Again, it's compared to every other subscription service for games out there, including Game Pass. 2 months of Game Pass basically gets you a year of Nintendo Online. So, to put it in perspective. But, so yeah, they showed some N64 games. I'm really pumped about that idea. They showed off a Mario movie.
Yeah.
It looks...
Like I'm interested to see where this goes. Like I saw the actor list that was coming out of it. It's like, okay, are we getting, Bob Hoskins, like Gustavo Mario here again?
You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with that. My biggest problem, and this goes to, again, thanks to the world of Twitter, like I follow and I chat back and forth with a lot of voice actors. Because they're the nicest, fucking coolest people in the world that actually talk to their fans. And where I'm a little annoyed, since this is going to be like an animated style film, maybe not cartoon, but computer animated, whatever. Like, one of my friends on Twitter put it perfectly. She's like, "Is this going to be Chris Pratt doing a really shitty Italian accent for 2 hours?" Like, there are plenty of good voice actors out there that could nail this. And again, I don't want to shit on it before it comes out. I would have loved to have seen, maybe one or two big names, but then like, give us that Pam Clark, give us that Jennifer Hale, give us the people that have the resumes and the game feature experience to do this some serious justice. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm not asking for was it Martineau? I'm not doubting he can do it, but I would get annoyed with his, and he is Mario, and I would get annoyed with Mario, I would get annoyed with that version of Mario in a 2-hour feature. It's just one of those. I really want to see this done right. Like, right now, the best and top of the mountain, and it's not saying he was bad. I think he was a wonderful Mario, and it was a wonderful animated series, but you ain't fucking touching Captain Lou.
Oh, no, absolutely not, yeah.
Like, Captain Lou is fucking Mario, and did an amazing Mario for years. And it's like, he wasn't trying, he just did his thing with it. Yeah, it's the only thing I can say. He did his thing with it, and it worked wonderfully.
Yeah, it was like trying too hard type of thing, and that, exactly. I'd say that's as with all these, we're talking about games trying too hard. I think like game movies can absolutely try too hard. Like,
and that's what I'm so afraid of. Like, I see this cast list, and I'm like, oh, here's actor number one, actor number two, and it's like, who's going to be trying to outact the other person? Like, are we gonna do this right? Like, are we going to approach this with some respect and really nail it, or is it just going to be? Because again, I say this just from many conversations I've had with voice acting friends. In all respect, actors generally don't make great voice actors.
Right.
So we'll see. I'll be hopeful. I'll never be a cynic and piss on people's lawns. I will be hopeful, and I will watch it, and I will watch it with the best of hopes in mind and keep optimism on my side. And that's where I'm at with that. Bayonetta 3, absolutely going to be a Switch exclusive. Great goddamn series. And I'm glad to see the Switch getting a previous console title to themselves, and a very good one at that. The next one, my kids are so fucking pumped for, to the point where my daughter Mia is going to be Callie or Marie. I can't think of one of the Squid sisters. She's dressing as her. She's dressing as her for Halloween, and my wife is making the costume, and it looks amazing. So they are so pumped for Splatoon 3. Like, it's not even funny. Like, I'm probably going to grab it just so I can play it with them. I suck at the first two. Horrible at it. I was horrible at it until I figured out how to switch it over so I can use the right stick to move the camera and not have to move the whole fucking portable switch to move the camera. I didn't realize that was an option, and I got so frustrated with it the first time I played it. I was like, fuck this game! And my kids were having no problem with it. And it was like, I'm not moving the switch to move the fucking camera. If I'm not playing VR, I'm playing games to sit still. So yeah, no, I'm totally pumped. I'll be getting that with them. They announced a expansion for Monster Hunter Rise. I've not played this game yet. I'm gonna have to give it a shot. I love the one that I'm still playing. Was it Monster Hunter Stories? Playing the second one still with the egg hatching and stuff. That's super fun. The next one, my brother-in-law was telling me about, and I caught a little more of it. I know my wife will be pretty jazzed because she loves Animal Crossing. But Animal Crossing and Smash Bros. Are each getting their own directs. Like, there's going to be an entire Nintendo Direct dedicated to Animal Crossing and the expansions and the stuff that they've got planned for it. I love to see that game is still going and going strong. Smash Brothers, they're I guess the last fighter is coming. The last additional fighter. I think this will be the end of additional characters to the game, and there's already like 50 of them. We were talking about it a little bit in the save point. If I can find it, but there was a lot of we're all kind of speculating as to who could it be, and Kyle had some good ideas, but and everybody had some good ideas. One of the thoughts was Rayman, and
okay,
I don't. Okay, they could, but here's where I see that being interesting. Is there's a free-to-play Smash Brothers clone on Xbox and other platforms too called Brawlhalla, and plays just like Smash. It's a blast. I play it with my kids a lot. It's a great game. But Rayman's a character in that, and Rare is part of Microsoft now. So like Banjo, Kazooie, all that shit. That's all under the Microsoft umbrella. That does not mean that it wouldn't happen. Microsoft has been more than happy in the past to collaborate with Nintendo and Nintendo Switch stuff. So it is very possible. I just don't see it as the most likely candidate. But all things considered, I have no idea who that next character could be. It honestly, at this point, because they've added so many, it could be anyone. I mean, they added Minecraft Steve, for God's sake. Yeah, so who knows? We'll see. And that's pretty much it for the news. Nick, did you have anything you wanted to highlight from the goings-on this week?
No, I felt like it's been kind of almost a quiet month. Just, again, new releases, but I don't think anything major has come up or come out. Yeah,
got a lot of stuff coming this week. New World drops this week. We'll see how many video cards it burns out.
Right. Oh man, I don't know. I've been watching that, and it just feels so meh to me. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those. I normally, me, like it's a $40 price tag too. So it's like, I think they know this ain't gonna be great.
Yeah, like it's that small worry, and I'm sure like for some people, they'll enjoy it, but just like from what I'm seeing, it's like unless you're in that large mega guild style, like you're just gonna get steamrolled. And
yeah, and just I don't know. I'll watch and wait and see some reviews. Oh, I just pulling up my Steam. I did forget one release highlight.
Okay.
This week that I have not played a lot of, but what I have played, I really enjoyed. Deathloop.
Oh yeah, how is it? I didn't pick it up yet. I it's like with everything else going on, like I may just wait to see, eventually, hopefully hit Game Pass and I'll play it then. But yeah, how is it?
It's kind of Hades.
Oh.
It's got that kind of loop.
Okay.
A death loop. But it has that loop The game actually takes place in a 24-hour loop, and like there's again like Hades, there's currencies and things that you can do to unlock things for your next runs.
Mm-hmm.
The general gist is that you're on this island trying to break out of this loop, and to do so you have to kill these 8 people, and they're all like powers and super agent whatever bullshit. But in order to do that, like you have to investigate and understand their routines and unlock secrets on the
like learn
island.
things.
And
Okay.
each run you unlock a little bit more and a little bit more, and like certain spots on the island only reveal certain things at certain times a day. And there's like 4 phases. There's 4 phases of the day basically, or 3 or 4 phases. Again, I haven't played a bunch, but it's like there's the morning, there's noon, there's afternoon, and then there's evening. And then when you skip to the next phase, once evening passes, you die, and it starts over at the morning again. But you still have all the information that you gathered. The people are still doing their routines, and it's very interesting. It's a very cool mechanic. It's a game I think I'm gonna get very into once I'm done with what I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason it got a 10 on both IGN and GameSpot.
Oh
Like
wow.
it's a gorgeous game. It's a very well made game, and there's a lot to like. And it's just one of those like I started playing it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna love this game, but I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna be able to love it like a good game father should. So I'm gonna wait until I finish with my other children, and then I'll play it again though.
Sure.
But yeah, no, Deathloop
So
is
definitely worth checking out then.
totally worth checking out. I don't know if it'll be on Game Pass anytime soon because it is a PC and PS4 or PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, I think the going theory, because again, no date, but the theory is it may
Like a
be
year
there
later.
in a year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to wait a year to play it, absolutely, or at least see if that theory is correct. But I would say, if you run out of stuff to play in 4 months and you're looking for something,
Yeah,
absolutely grab it.
I think at this stage, it's like, I don't want to necessarily drop a full, 60, 70, whatever, on it. Knowing, granted, there's replayability, but at the same time, it's also, single player. And
no, it's not.
Oh, it's not? It's multi?
Sort of. There's a component to it where there is a multiplayer component when you get to a certain point.
Okay.
You play as the main character, or you can play a game as the main antagonist, who's this hit woman who is out to kill you throughout the entire game, whether you're playing multiplayer or not. But in multiplayer, you can invade other players' games as her. It's just you. It's not a bunch of players. It's just one person.
Just one other person.
The antagonist.
So 1v1 type of thing.
Exactly. And the way her mechanics work is you basically, whatever area the main character's in, you jump into and you lock the whole area down, and they cannot get out until they get to this satellite dish and hack it so that they get out. However, one of her powers, and she's one of the people you have to kill, and this kind of goes back to the old days of when Assassin's Creed multiplayer worked and worked well, she can actually blend in as any other NPC.
Ooh.
You can change into one of those characters. Now, naturally, you're probably going to be around the satellite dish waiting for the player to show up. But they ain't going to be alone. I mean, there's always going to be guards and shit.
Right.
And it's just one of those, like, her whole thing is ambush and assassination.
Clever. Okay.
I gotta tell you, when she invades your game, when somebody is actually playing her, because it'll happen single player, but when it's another player behind it, it's like, oh fuck.
Oh no.
Because if you get killed, it's back to the morning.
Back to the loop. Yep. Okay.
It's a genius multiplayer aspect to this game. Because it's in game, it's in character, and it's in story. It's really well done.
Yeah, I didn't know about that, so now I'm intrigued.
Yes, I would say, again, you run out of stuff to play in a couple months,
That may be it,
price tag. It's worth the price tag, and if you ever invade my game, it's fucking on, bitch. No, it's really good though. Really well done game. I cannot wait to play more of it. I just want to wait until I can dedicate the time it deserves.
Sure.
But yes, I think that actually brings us to pretty much the end. That's it with news and releases. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the big one this week is New World. We'll wait and see how many computers die from it, and then we'll give our perspectives. I'll be interested to see if like Co plays it at all. You know, Co Carnage. He's very, again, he very much aligns with my gaming tastes. He has been playing Wrath of the Righteous for like the past 2 weeks, and for a full-time streamer, you know that shit's good if he's doing that. No, he's really been enjoying Wrath of the Righteous. But I'm waiting to see if he plays it and what he thinks. He's very straight up whether he likes the game or not, so I'll be interested to see his take. Other than that, we're coming down to the end. I didn't see any voicemail alerts. I'll check really quickly on Twitter to see if we had any responses to the question that I asked for the question of the day, which was, and I'll let you answer it, Nick, but it kind of goes on par with what we were talking about. And I had asked, with the incredible Diablo 2 remaster, a question comes to mind. What, in your opinion, makes for a perfect remaster of a game?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I'll make mine short and sweet. Diablo 2 Resurrected. To me, that's how you do a remaster, and that's how everyone should approach a remaster, in my opinion, going forward, unless you're doing a remake, which is a different thing.
Yeah, remake definitely different thing. I'd say absolutely that. It's like be able to show what the old game was, because I don't know. I guess with that you kind of get a sense of preservation happening there.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you can see the kind of original form for those who've never played in that mode. It's like you're going to see how we played it back in the day. And for those who have played it, it's like, it's a trip down memory lane. Like, wow, it did look like that, or it was that that form of resolution and all that. Definitely a case of like don't mess with the recipe. Like, it's like, you can make it, make it more efficiently, it's like do those quality of lives, but make sure those quality of life don't interfere ultimately with, I'd say, the core of the game itself. And then ultimately make sure that final sheen doesn't break, fonts and, menus and, it's like, again, it should function and look, or I'd say look, the spirit of the visual look of it should match what the original did.
Yeah, I would second all of that. The only thing I would add to it is that, and you're getting at it too with every point you raised, it should, by the end of it, justify why that game deserved being remastered.
Yeah.
And it should do so by showing that even the bones of a 20-year-old game are still a great foundation for a game to be built upon.
And I would say, as a final thing, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a requirement. It would be a nice to have / just a little a little incentive to maybe, the repurchase or whatever. Any kind of like deleted scene, and I say, deleted scene in terms of like, if we're thinking about movie, but deleted zone map, add that on. Like if you want to like entice people, like, oh yeah, here's this thing that was going to be in the original game, put it on separately. Like don't, or especially if it's like going to be like some, I say not quality of life, but mechanic, like mechanically,
a new mechanic.
Mechanically should always be the same. But if it's like I'm talking about like a new level, new whatever,
a new area, a new map,
it's
a new
like
chapter that they didn't get to include but wanted to.
Exactly. Like give the backstory for like this was going to be the original, but like it was scrapped for time or whatever. Yeah, because I am sure it's like we know it happens all the time with movies, and I know it happens
with games.
With games
a lot
too.
Of shit gets cut from games.
It's like you want to do that now. Obviously, with that, it's probably a little bit of extra because now you're maybe the assets aren't fully complete or it's only half done or whatever.
Right.
But that again, not a requirement. Like hands down, it has to be as close to 1-to-1 of the original in terms of mechanics.
Preferably if you could hit a switch and see the original.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's genius.
Yeah, like I think it's a great little touch. Like, is it people going to use it all the time? No, but for the nostalgia, the people are going down memory lane again. It's like, okay, yeah, it's like, oh, great, I can see how it was.
Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention that I discovered. I don't know if this was in the original, but it's in the remaster, and I feel like they're showing off, and it's beautiful. Press F on your keyboard when you're playing, and you're in an area with like a chest or something you want to look at. It basically zooms in on your character.
Oh, I did notice. Yeah, like zooms way in. It's like, whoa, like that's new. Okay,
and it doesn't look like shit.
Oh yeah. It's like it's still sharp as ever. Yeah.
And that, to me, like, I have found myself doing that every time I find, like, oh, look at this shrine. Oh, look at this shrine. Like, just, again, these little touches, these little things where it's like, God damn, that's cool. But yeah, to me, that's what makes a remaster. Like, if I had to say it in one sentence, go play Diablo 2 Resurrected, you'll see what I want in a remaster. It's there. Even the soundtrack, like, they didn't fuck with it. They just, it's like Lord of the Rings when they released their digital grade last year. They didn't fuck with it. They added the visual touches that they couldn't add back then that just make it sharper, and it looks like it was filmed last year, but it's not like adding walkers in the background or anything like that. Like, it's just, that's what I want. Like,
exactly.
And Diablo 2 Resurrected nailed it. And with that, we shall conclude episode 80. And we'll give some of the usual plugs. Give us a shout on the voicemail line if you want to tell us what your perfect remaster is at 610-810-1654. And we'll talk about it on our next episode, as I am sure I'll have gone through Diablo 2 for a third time at that point. Shout out to the fans, everyone that is listening, sharing, leaving us reviews on iTunes. I really appreciate that. Like, it really helps us get us out there. So everybody leaving the reviews, especially the 5 stars, we love you. Thank you for that. Shout out to the boys at Bad Fodder Figures, Mike, Matt, and Eric. Love you guys. Always fun to hang out with them Sunday nights. Actually, we're recording on their prime time right now. Sorry, fellas, but we don't stream, so. We're not necessarily intruding on your network airtime. No, I'm only fucking with them. I love those guys. They're good stuff. Check out their podcast. They record live Sunday nights at 9, and they release the episode on podcast feeds for the next day. And you can watch them on Twitch. If you want to watch the live show recast, it's great. It's a great show. Love those guys. Denny and the gang at Tap the Craft, always talking craft beer and all the things that make craft beer great, and making it less intimidating and less hipstery, and really explaining just the things that go into different craft beer and the hops and the process. Like, they have such great knowledge. Like, you wouldn't think beer could be so interesting, but listening to the crew over at Tap the Craft is a really fun, like, trip of knowledge and history at times too. It's really cool. So love Tap the Craft. Always shout them out. If you want to hang out with us, you can hang out at the Save Point on tiny.cc/savepoint. Check out Kyle's post on the Mario movie. Let us know what you think. How do you think it's going to go? Maybe it won't be the dumpster fire. I'd love to hear somebody
I smell something
positive.
burning.
Yeah, I'd love to hear somebody more positive than me on this. You can email us at theretrorents@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at theretrorents. I'm at RetroRentsAl, and Nick is at Black Eagle Ops. Hit us up on Twitter if you have any questions or any input for the show. We'd love to hear from y'all. Always happy to chat with y'all. And Nick is at Black Eagle Ops on Twitch. I will plug my Twitch at RetroRentsAl only because we're starting to get close to Extra Life Marathon season, and I will be doing that again this year. Just waiting to figure out what day it is and then plan that with the wife and family. I'm sure my kids will be making another appearance this year and playing along as they did last time. They have so much fun, not just playing games and hanging out on stream, but what I love about my kids is knowing that they're helping out other kids, like they are so charged to be able to take part in that, and that just feels really cool to share that with them and be able to help the Children's Hospital Network. So I'm looking very forward to that. Other than that, I think we will hang it up here. And Nick, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything you're doing in the next week or two that you want everyone to know about?
No, I don't think anything specific coming up that I know of.
Yeah, no more Will of Worships?
No. It has been uninstalled.
Hang out over at Nick's Twitch. And you can watch somebody that's way better at Hades than me. And I had a lot of fun hanging out on his channel the other night. He had Hades Phase 1 almost down for the count, but I feel like he was self-fulfilling, prophesying himself the whole time. He's like, this is not going to be a winning run. This is just a crystal run.
Yeah, you can tell. Like when you're into it, like the boons aren't lining up. Like this isn't happening.
But yeah, you're always a good watch, man. I had fun hanging out the other night.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Other than that, as usual, folks, stay safe, stay healthy, be nice to each other and everybody around you, and as always, have fun, play games, and don't be dicks.
Peace.
See ya. Bye, Craig.